Arthurian legend. Who doesn't know about the famous King Arthur and his legendary blade, Excalibur, the sword from the stone, or the sword from the lake? Confused yet? Well, welcome to mythology, where everything is needlessly overcomplicated and often contradicts itself. Hope you enjoy your stay. Excalibur's origin isn't as straightforward akin to other weapons in mythology, with it having two very different origin stories tied to its legend: the sword and the stone, and the Lady of the Lake. Most are familiar with the story where Arthur pulls Excalibur from the stone, where he is then pronounced the rightful king of Britain by the crazy wizard Merlin, even though he's like, what, 15 at the time? And the other origin story for Excalibur, the Lady of the Lake, has Merlin guide King Arthur to get Excalibur, because he broke the sword he got from the stone in a fight earlier on. When they get to the lake, a lady appears and gives King Arthur Excalibur. Now, though the sword in the stone predates the Lady of the Lake, it isn't stated in Robert de Boron's poem Merlin that the sword is Excalibur. Whereas in the post-Vulgate cycle of Arthurian legend, the sword given by the Lady of the Lake is called Excalibur. So that's it then. The sword came from the lake, open and shut case, right? Well, not for 15th century writer Sir Thomas Malory, who not only included both stories in his very famous Le Morte d'Arthur, but strangely decided to call both swords Excalibur, because there's nothing confusing about calling two very different swords the same name. Yep, not confusing in the slightest, but I think it's now time we move on from talking about its origin to finally talking about the legendary blade itself. It's alright. Yeah, that's the funny thing about Excalibur. It has its interpretations where it's this super cool, very powerful, slaying gods kind of sword. But in truth, it's just described to us as a magic sword. So, what does it do? What does it look like? Honestly, Excalibur's scabbard is more on topic for this part of the video than the sword itself, for it has an actual power associated with it. When the scabbard is worn, the wearer cannot bleed from any wound, no matter how severe it is. So of course, with such an OP item on hand, King Arthur loses the damn thing, cause who hasn't misplaced a magical scabbard that can literally stop you from bleeding to death? In the end, Excalibur is thrown back into the lake from whence it came, at the request of a dying King Arthur, where the Lady of the Lake, the same one that gifted Excalibur to King Arthur, catches it and waves it 3 times before vanishing with it. Even this story has its inconsistencies, so to summarize, it's one beaut of a sword, but crikey, is it a journey and a half just to understand where Excalibur came from. Like, my goodness me. Well, if you enjoyed that video, perhaps you would consider liking and subscribing. It helps me understand whether you actually like the content I'm making. I like the videos, but I'm not sure that everybody else loves me rambling on about mythology and all this other nonsense, basically. Or you can leave a comment suggesting maybe other things I should be talking about. Maybe it's particular gods, or I don't know, Jimmy from across the street. I don't know. Thank you for watching. Take care.